These are all the books I read in March. Let's talk about them. Wizard and Glass by Stephen King. Wizard and Glass is the fourth book in Stephen King's The Dark Tower series. I technically started this book in February, but I finished it in March, and I'm using it as an excuse to talk about this book because, wow. This is currently the only book I have ever given 6 stars. It's the only book that has ever broken my rating scale. The Wind Through the Keyhole by Stephen King. This is actually Dark Tower book 4.5. It was written years after the series had concluded, and Stephen King talked about how he had one more story to tell with the main characters from his Dark Tower series. I actually don't know if I would consider this a Dark Tower book. It does technically have the main characters from the Dark Tower series in it, but really it's more of a standalone book that you can read at the end of the Dark Tower series. 4 out of 5 stars. Wolves of the Kala by Stephen King. I just love this series so much that I could not stop reading through the books in succession. However, this one kind of slowed down my momentum, not because it's a bad book, but because it's 700 pages, it's a bit of a slog, it mostly takes place in one location, and after this book, I needed somewhat of a palate cleanser. 4.25 out of 5 stars. The Unworthy by Augustina Bazterrica. This is the next long-awaited novel from Augustina after she wrote Tender is the Flesh. This book is all about cult practices. It's about a cult that is living together and practicing their religion during the apocalypse. So yeah, there's some really dark and disturbing stuff that happens in this book, but really at its core, it's actually kind of a gothic romance. 3.75 out of 5. Song of Susanna by Stephen King. This is book 6 in the Dark Tower series. I have one book left to read. That's going to be next month. This book is amazing. It's multiple POV with Roland and Eddie and Susanna and another character and Jake and another character and Oi, and it's kind of all over the place, but it still feels like such a magical adventure that's taken place between multiple different periods of time, and it has all kinds of magic and adventure, and the ending is crushing. 4.75 out of 5 stars. Don't Fear the Reaper by Stephen Graham Jones. Don't Fear the Reaper is book 2 in Jones's The Indian Lake trilogy, and I do think that this is a step up from the first book called My Heart is a Chainsaw, but overall I still left wanting a little bit more, and that's perfectly fine. This was kind of just supposed to be a palate cleanser before I finished The Dark Tower. 4 out of 5 stars.